Hey guys, what's up? So tonight we have a great guest that I can call my friend, and he is a TI. We had part one, and now we will have part two tonight and do a small recap and go back to where we left off with Robert. Robert, again, is a TI. He's my friend. He is someone that went through hell. He has been fighting against his perps, the abusers. He is using HRC, Human Rights Commission, to fight with him against the perps and abusers. Robert has won RA2 cases. His videos, pictures are on his phone, and it's very important that we're here to also raise funds for Robert. Because why? Because he's an actual Canadian. He's Canadian, and his taxes are being withheld right now. That is why Robert cannot get the funds for his phone issues, and Robert needs his phone. Robert has important information on his phone for his case. Again, videos, pictures of the abusers, what's going on. Robert needs to have his case heard. So Robert is asking for help. So we are here to help Robert on his GoFundMe link and chat. And the goal is $350. That will protect his phone and also the data and beyond. We want this to go through. We want Robert to win the case. The HRC are great people, and they have faith in Robert. Okay? They want to help Robert. So I want to say right here, if you're able to donate to his cause, great. If you can't do this, it's fine. If you cannot help Robert by donations, that's fine. Just pass the link to your friends, to your family, on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or TI groups. No one is forced to help Robert. We had some small critics here in the past. People will always hate you because they're doing a good thing. We are doing a great thing for Robert. You're not forced or obligated to help. If you can't help, fine. Again, pass the link to someone that possibly can help Robert. You know, $1 here and there, $5 here and there, whatever you can do, please help out Robert. It's very, very important that we raise this money. So I'm going to give him the link. Yeah, it should be in chat, Robert. But again, I want to thank my supporters for being here in chat tonight to not only support my channel, but for Robert. We are here to help one another through our issues. So I want to say thank you for the ones in chat who are here to support Robert and his story. Some parts of this story can be triggering for others, but it's truth. The truth needs to be out here. You know, we can't keep being censored of the truth. It can hurt, yes, but the truth should be out here. So I want Robert to be able to come forward and tell a story. Again, part 2, and here is Robert. Hello,
Hi, everybody.
hello, and welcome.
Hi, hi, hi. Can everybody hear me?
How are you doing?
Tired, thanks. But good,
I hear
good.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm so happy to see you again for part 2.
Me too. I'm
And
glad I'm.
yeah, so I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we can do part 2 and go forward with this for your campaign. I mentioned, just now what the cost is for campaign. I mentioned that people should be able to pass it around on social media. I already said here, they can't help you on money, fine. Just pass it along to someone that can donate, because the point is we want to help you get the funds raised.
Right,
That way this case goes forward.
right,
Very
right.
important. This case gets forward
Well,
and you win this case.
well, it's I think it's a lot of things. I think it's the fact that we're holding, with this whole pandemic shit, with the COVID-19. No, I'm not saying there isn't a COVID-19, but there's definitely not a pandemic. A lot of people are seeing, a lot of freedom people, awake people are seeing that their rights are being taken from them. And I think that like the big thing that we have to focus on is targeted individuals, gay, black, white, straight, whatever we are. We're the rainbow of everything. We are definitely the lowest on the totem pole. So we're the canaries in the coal mine. So if you're not paying attention to what's happening to us, because you're next, and so it's not like, this is just one person's cause. This is for everybody's freedom, and I join a live feed every night to Glorious and Free, which is basically about that premise. And actually, a constable runs it, and he introduced me as a TI, which is almost unheard of. And so I'm bringing ideas. We're sitting, we're conversing, we're talking about. There's political leaders, there's doctors, there's all this stuff. So there is a movement happening, but you have to understand that TIs are like the test subject. We are the first ones to get hit. And if you're not paying attention, then, well, stupid on you. So like everything that we're doing right now, everything that I'm doing right now, even though it's confined into a residential and it seems minimal on the large spectrum, it's for everybody's gain for freedom and choice and all that stuff. So we need to start listening to our TIs a little bit.
Yes, I agree. We're all here to
Yeah,
help one another. We're all here as a big unit, different divisions, but we are still here as a big unit to help one another. We're all different TIs, but again, it's the same cause that we want to help support one another through
right,
their torment and their pain. Um,
right.
so you want to go ahead and recap, or just go off, I guess, last time we left off where you stopped?
Boy, could I go off right now? Well, it's been difficult. Well, because I the last interview that I did, I basically was talking about what's been occurring after the rape and the physical assault that happened both on the same day by two different people, the interference from police, the interference from the courthouses, the interference from even like right now. My taxes have been, the 2019 taxes have been in process since September, and they still won't give me the money. So it's like everything, all government units, all like city services are being withheld from me. And so, going past that, I ended up here in Castleman, Ontario, which is just outside of Ottawa, and I was told by the director, who I was in contact for months before I even came to Castleman, knowing that my circumstances, that and I didn't say I was a TI. What I referred to myself as was, I took on a billionaire investor that bought properties. I fought him and I won, and basically now that I was being targeted and that he had people, or I was being harassed and followed and stuff, and that it was about that. I didn't make it about the TI thing, which come to find out now, I know that he's well aware of. So when I came here to Castleman to a residential, which is a seniors residence, I'm only 43. We had a conversation in the truck, and he's like, "It won't follow you here. Don't worry, it won't follow you here." Well, the second day I was here, these caregivers to So like, there were construction workers, but they were caregiving the lawn and stuff, were like cutting up my cigarettes where I was sitting and like revving their motors at me. They're making it very clear that I wasn't to be here. So I knew kind of off the bat, but you know, there's a side of you when you're targeted, when everything is sabotaged, when everything is like, you know, in your face. You don't, you know, you're not a part of our society. And I dealt with that as a gay man, and this is something so far beyond that. It's sabotage on a greater level. And basically, I knew right away that something was wrong, but you know, you cross your fingers and hope. You know, it's the minimal of evils, and you know, I was wrong. So, should I start with what happened here in Catherine? So,
Yeah. So yeah, you recap the part that you were assaulted. Your abuser gave you a handwritten confession. You had
which is
that
on my channel,
confession.
right? Right.
Yes, you had the confession. You had that confession into law enforcement, and they laughed at you, which is
Oh,
horrible.
well, no. After I told them off, though, like, thank God I'm
Right.
white. Seriously, because like the chick was like, she was looking at my artwork because I do a lot of artwork. Only because it's like therapy for me. That was because I can't go to doctors, I can't go to a therapist because institutionalization is what. If you don't kill yourself, that's where TIs go. They institutionalize you. And so basically, I started drawing, and she saw one of my sketches, and she was like, "How do I know you didn't forge this document? Your art is so amazing." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, that's calligraphy or some shit. Like, that's a master's degree. So, but and then when while we were in the I was getting interviewed because I know it's being recorded and they can't cut them. They can't like delete out anything because it looks bad on the police. So I started saying, you know, I have a history with you guys that's not so good. And she kept talking over me. And I find that happens a lot with perps. They talk over you so it's like as if it's supposed to drown you out. And when I realized what she was doing and she was smirking at me, and so I kind of basically said to her, I'm like, you're a parasite, and you were given a badge to protect, and took an oath to protect people, and you're choosing to hurt people. And I literally like, I'm like, I'm like, I was like, bitch, and she goes, what did you say? And I'm like, witch. And so I said witch, but she was like, and I said to her, I'm like, you're a parasite and this will come back against you. Understand what you're doing is wrong. You're breaking your oath. And then there's something called oath keepers. And so you take this oath when you become a doctor, a fireman, a policeman, and they're breaking them because big corporate companies are taking over and buying them out, and politics are buying out our police, which is systemic through now. When you see with the COVID, this is everything in one big, bundle. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was walking,
Yep.
I was walking. Well, hey, you know what? And it's funny because I'm doing this human rights stuff based on the pandemic. I don't call it pandemic. I call it pandemic. And all this stuff, fighting for the people that are holding me captive. That's the weirdest fucking part. Is I'm like doing all this stuff for them, and it's like they don't even see that I'm fighting for their rights. And so, and gaining ground in that way. And as a TI, they introduced me as a TI, which is never heard of. It's rarely talked about. And now it's coming to the scenes. And I don't think it's just me. I think it's because there's so many of us, because we're free thinkers now. And so, when I went through the interview, she just basically, I walked out and I was going to the elevator, and like six ununiformed officers, this is on the second floor of the police station on Elgin Street in Ottawa, like came up looking at her like, are you okay? Did the bad bag hurt you? And like, I'm going, bitch,
Oh
is
my
she
goodness.
okay? I'm sitting here pouring, I'm holding a confession for my rapist going, and them like mocking me. And so I go into the elevator and I hold the elevator door, and she's like giving them the nod, like, hey, I'm okay. And I'm like, hey, the pool's open. Don't worry, I don't bite unless you ask. She gave it to I was so mad. And you know what? Maybe if I was a black man or a red man or a Chinese man, I would have got shot. But because I know being white sort of holds certain privileges. But like, I was mad. I'm like, after everything I'd gone through, because when the physical assault happened before the rape, and both of them happened on the same day. So I don't know if I made that clear last time. So when the physical assault happened, I knew the police were going to fuck with me. And this is before I knew what being a TI was. I could smell the corruption off them. And it took 4.5 hours after a physical assault that was not only witnessed, but it was videotaped. Like, and so it was bizarre because it was like, after everything I went through, they knew where they stood and they knew where I stood. And so it was just like, what am I going to lose? My, you know, it's not like I can be any less humbled by this situation. You guys are doing this on purpose. So, long story short, like I ended up in Castleman here. The admin director of Saint Francois basically was like, "Don't worry, it won't come in," and da 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 da. And everyone was super nice, like super peachy keen nice. And within, and I was in. You got to understand, because when I came in, they have to throw you into quarantine because it's a seniors residence, and these are the places that are getting hit the hardest, as in the stats that main media is using, which is all bullshit. Because like none of the hospital care, the contractors that come in to do the bathing and stuff, none of the contracts, none of the personal health, PSWs, sorry, PSWs, none of them know anyone personally that actually has COVID, and they're all in the medical field. So it's funny, all these restrictions and people that are actually in the field are being told to hush or they'll lose their career. Anyway, so when I got here, I started into quarantine. And so I had about 3 weeks where there was no problems, there's no issues. And then, you know, the care director, who right off the bat, I knew she was a perp. She's just got that soulless look in her eye. And she talked about her life and how, you know, inappropriate things. But she can fake compassion, but it wasn't really a part of her daily routine. The only time I seen her hugging and being close to the residents is when she was mocking me in the dining area. And that's the first day that I realized shit was going down. I come into the dining room. I'd slept in that day. Oh, I'm hearing feedback. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing mass feedback right now. Um, so I literally come out and I'd walked into the room and she's speaking in broken, because where I am, it's mostly French people, and they're speaking in broken French and English. And oh, Robert, ba 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 ba. Oh, sleeps in. He's so lazy and da 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 da. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's here, right? And they were pulling the residents into it, and that's what they do. That's what perps do. They pull in the community, they pull in the residents, and they start attacking and belittling you and saying things that and slandering you. And so right then I knew, and I had been in contact with a social worker from Ottawa, because when I went to Ottawa, she was no longer, she was my social worker because we were subsidized when you live in a residential, and basically she wasn't supposed to, but we kept in contact because of the COVID. I was able to directly speak with her, even at like 9 o'clock at night when people were kicking in my doors and bikers were filling up my building, and it was supposed to be empty because I was the only person that, you know, beat my landlord, and was legally allowed to be there during a quarantine, a national quarantine, international quarantine. And so I knew that there was going to be problems right away, and so I started emailing the social worker that subsidized me, and I was like, "It's here." And she didn't question it. She didn't be like, "Are you sure? It's not like you might be guessing, you might be paranoid." It was like, "What do you need me to do?" And she wanted to speak to the admin director right away, and I was like, "No, because it will create more problems." So I waited and I waited, and events occurred, and all the way, because I got here in, I think it was August. Sorry, I'm a little bit cold. It was August when I got here, and it was about September before stuff started happening. And like one of the first events, because I knew to be smart enough to record, because I think that and the reason why I came to a small town is because small town people don't have the same keenness that big city people do. They don't know the game as well. So even if they are perps, they're not quite up to date. So I knew that people would be keen and double talk and do things in a way where they're friendly to you 1 minute and then do things another. And so one day I was walking past the staff desk, and the care specialist and one of the senior staff members were standing there, and she'd done this before. They'd see me walking downtown, and apparently I walk with a sway, because they started like mocking me and like, "Oh, you look so sexy when you walk," and they're like raising their hand and doing like, the gay man thing.
Oh,
And I was like,
mocking you. Yeah.
yeah, oh, totally, totally. And there's cameras
Yeah.
here. Only they don't have audio, which is what I found out later from the admin director. And so I recorded it. I pressed record, and it was me walking away, going, inappropriate, inappropriate. And they kept on. And this is after they were like mocking me in front of the residents. So the residents react to me in that way because I'm the villain, I'm the bad guy. Meanwhile, I'm like doing nails and doing hair and how are you today and da da da. Da. I never show emotion. I never bring in my hardship into these people because they're vulnerable. And I believe, I know maybe it's like a biblical thing, I don't know what it is, but I believe that we need to take care of the most vulnerable of society. That's what true courage is. Even with my circumstances, these people are worse off because they're in the hands of these assholes. Um,
I agree.
Sorry.
I agree.
It's hitting me hard because it's been, and I talked to you personally, Sharon, about this. It's been, they're giving me shit for being able to walk a resident around the building who's suffering from obesity and diabetes, and I've been getting her to walk, which all the staff, and I've got like recordings of the staff saying this was amazing. And ever since I filed with the HRC, they've been they've been attacking the couple of residents that I spend time with, and I basically assist them. Like this one lady, she's a fucking riot. I love her, and she's gay too. And she's kind of butch, and she's like, she sits in her chair and she eats her food and she throws shit on the floor. So I'm like, it smells like a teenager in here. Let me clean up. So like I'll go in and clean, and I take care of her, and she loves her back being scratched, and she loves it when we're watching Will and Grace together for me to scratch her arm, like little things like that.
I love that show.
Yeah, but it's about the intimacy. Like we're human beings. We need touch. This is what this is about. We need interaction. And these soulless cowards they're harming these people because they're trying to target me. And in the last 5 weeks, and I actually recorded a staff member talking about it, and I told you about this, Sharon, is they've been stealing from this woman that I've been hanging out with because I've been assisting her. And then they had the nerve, because including the care specialist, who said, if you walk her around, if you get her walking, because no staff could do it. There's things that I can do with these residents, no one else can do. It's because I'm not pulling them. I'm not pushing them. I'm drawing them to want to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a difference. And now the admin director and the higher up staff are accusing me of hurting her because she shouldn't be walking, which is only, I'm not like walking her around. I'm just taking the long way to her room. And so, and this is after there was 3 thefts dealing with this woman, and I brought it up to admin director. I brought it up to different people, and I've been, it's like I'm sitting here fighting for them, and I'm the enemy, and it's like I'm protecting the most vulnerable because they're worse off than me, because this woman suffers dementia. She asks like 20 times in a day what we're having for lunch, or if there's bingo. And I give her my bingo winnings. And that's how I knew that people were stealing from her, because I'm the one that gave her the money. So, and the admin director was trying to insinuate, which perps do, that you're the reason why stuff is going missing. But because they were stealing her stuff out of the medical office, that there's no one that has a key for it. Only the staff can go in there. You need a key to get in. And so I basically challenged them. So it's been really difficult for me, because it's like you're hurting the most vulnerable to accomplish this targeting thing. And this is what I want Castleman. This is what I want, Ontario. This is what I want Ottawa. I want Australia and Japan. And I want all these countries to know they're hurting your people, your mother that raised you, your father that, cuddled you when you were sick and your nose was running and worked those 12-hour fucking shifts. They're harming them just to get at us that are just asking for the same rights as everyone else. And so this is where like the heartbreak comes in for me. So it's emotionally affected me in such a deep way, where, losing my house and the rape and the physical assault and the police corruption and being thrown in prison without a criminal record, and, not getting my tax money, and not all that shit is like secondary to where I feel about these people. And if we don't start standing up, your rights are going to be lost next. And so, and this is why, with this HRC thing, even though it's not directly involving, because the HRC, the Human Rights Commission, doesn't umbrella discrimination under a TI, or Targeted Individual Act. It's not recognized yet, although UN and different organizations are starting, and Amnesty International are starting to address it. So I had to go under the guise of, sexual discrimination, which it was. But the fact that, a social worker called the police when I said that I wanted to speak with her supervisor, who happens to now be my social worker, coincidentally, and like all these events are occurring, and I was starved, and I was held on property illegally, and I was taken off property illegally. Like all this stuff is now accumulating, and any judge worth their weight that doesn't want to, even if they're a part of this perp shit, they don't want to lose their job. That's why I won the LTD case, because that woman knew that I had all the logical standings of what was happening, and my challenge was solid. And that if anyone would have questioned the arbitrator's decision, if she would have said no, he's getting evicted, she could have lost her career. And that's what these people are really about. They don't want to lose their status. They don't want to lose their jobs. That's why society needs to stand in and hold these politicians, these fucking corrupt, oil guzzling fucking motherfuckers accountable, because no one is. And I'm telling you what, right now, I'm working with different organizations, and I kept different groups in. And one lady, actually, one of the umbrella organizations dealing with retirement homes, because it couldn't deal with me because I was under a certain age, because I'm not a senior. But she actually jumped on the bandwagon, and she's like, we're going to be doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. And she kept saying the word targeting. And I'm like, are you doing that on purpose? And she's like, yep. So she's recognizing there's groups that they know that this is some sort of program, and you're not supposed to ever speak out against it or talk about it. But there are social workers, police officers, firemen, different departments of the city heads that are like, I am not cool with this. We are targeting civilians for cash. And that's what I'm doing right now. So even though this isn't about directly, I'm not going into the HRC, defining it as targeting because I'm as a TI, and that's what the discriminatory bases are. I'm going under the guise because that's what they attack. They attack my sexuality. But then the fact that a social worker jumped in when I asked her to bring in a supervisor, and all these, all the staff didn't do anything, and now I'm getting reprisal, and they're making accusations because it was strategy, right? Like I saw this coming. This now works in our favor. And so it's like with the reason why, like when they ticket you with the quarantine measures, the minute you go to court and challenge it, they throw it out, because the minute one person wins, they say in the case of da 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 da, because it's unethical, it's against the Charter of Rights, it's against human rights, it's a human right violation, making people wear masks, blah 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 blah. They need to be changed every 20 minutes. So like it's like all these. Once one person wins, once they put a stake in the ground, once that flag is up, that means other cases can follow. So that means if I can get through, because I've got the lawyer was like, hey, double the price of the minimum. Like he's like, you've got a case here because there's some sort of obvious targeting, but it's under the guise of sexual discrimination. So it's like we need to get like a poll up and say, hey, this is what's happening, and all these things are happening from different city servants that are not even related. Why am I being targeted from them? And that's where we go from this point on. From my understanding, I got a grade in education, so I'm not, that swift. So
yeah. No, it's a good thing what you're doing. It really is,
Right. Well, and it's necessary. It's unfortunate. And it's funny because even the Prescott Russell region, that's where I'm from, outside of Ottawa, the regional director of social services, who happens to be my new worker, who's avoiding any sort of like commenting about, hey, it's still happening, da 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 da. She's refusing to acknowledge that there's ill treatment happening because she's a part of it. She had actually said to me in a phone call, which I recorded, and told her I was recording, and she had said to me, she's like, this is the way the world is. And I'm like, well, because you've accepted it. This is what you've chosen. And there's sides of history that we stand on. There was German families that could have been scot-free from all the shit that was going on with Hitler and shit, but they protected, Jews because they knew what was happening was wrong. And that shaped our history. There are more good people in this planet than there are bad. It's just the bad seem to be so hungry, power hungry, that they're making grabs, and they're more technically savvy. And this is where this is coming from. Like, oh no, they're crazy. It's dismissive. But what's happening with the quarantine is exactly what happened in Germany. Social policing, and if you're not a part of us, you're against us, and pastors being shipped off into prisons, and like this is in my free time. This is what I do when I'm not serving the residents here. I'm on these board of directors, and we're coming up with ideas and looking at new ways to to bring to attention to people that your civil human rights are being stomped on because of oil companies in China. I don't want to get too much into that, but I mean, what's happening to TIs is now happening to the rest of society. And this is the ultimate equalizer. This is our opportunity to stand in unison with society rather than being better than us. That's the point that I'm making. Questions?
I agree. I agree. No, I agree. Because the thing is, you go from, like you said, anything that has truth, they want us to be censored. So
Right.
the tactic is, oh, we're crazy. We're all crazy. We're not
Right.
crazy. We have
Dismissive.
truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're doing full frontal fucking lobotomies and injecting like gasoline into the veins of Jews. Like it's happening now. They're invasive in every way. They're interrupting thought pattern. And I don't suffer the MK shit yet, but lucky me. But everything else, like the slandering. I walk out into the community and people look at me like I'm this, like I murdered Jesus, and it's just like, holy fuck, you know nothing. And it's the people that do acknowledge it are like, hey, it's the way the world is. Well, then fucking change it. Do something about it. This is your grandkids that are going to suffer this. This is your children. You're suffering now. People are killing themselves. So, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to stand or are you going to sit there and wait for the water just to get warm enough that you can't move? What do you want to do, frog? What do you want to do? Oh, sorry, my outside voice.
It's okay. Yeah, well, it's what it is. You have to do either, you have to fight or flight. Make a choice. Do you want to fight
There's no
back?
fight.
And yes, do you want to fight back and say something, or lay down and be quiet? We're choosing to fight back. Period.
Right, right. And so basically at this point, because all the way up to like Revenue Canada, so the tax agencies and government, they're interfering with my finances. They're and this is after my house was destroyed and I got not a penny from it. All of it. Like this is where it's like, okay, and it's hard to ask from people that have already had everything taken from them. So it's like, you know, um, for me, it's like at this point, this is where I'm at. I've got a case. This is going to be held in front of a human rights court, and all the links that connect from different organizations that should be unaffiliated, treating me in the same way, the same dismissive way, and doing things that are illegal. I've got the proof of, but now it's at the point where it's like I need support because I'm being choked off here. Even I was even held on the property. They told me that we were in a code red and we weren't. I had to phone an umbrella agency and go, what is the regulations with the quarantine? And they were like, well, it's gray, which means you can go out shopping and stuff, when I was told not to. And I was watching other residents leave. So they're holding me prisoner falsely. And even now, like tonight, I get treated so horribly. Every day I get filthy. I get like food and I'm assuming shit stuck on my silverware. They do things where like everything that I do, they sabotage. And so it's and because what they're wanting me to do is to respond to it and be like fucking assholes, da, 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 da. And I know that once I lose my shit, once I lose my like and I start freaking out, that's when they're like, oh look, he's crazy. But now I've got so many cases in a row that and I said to the director yesterday when I said to him, hey, your people are stealing from these residents, and it seems to be the ones that are always in adjacent with me, the ones I'm helping. And he's like, and he jumps right to, oh no, yeah, by the way, I hear that you're really loud and that you're making too much noise when you're with these residents. So I bring up that your staff are stealing from your fucking residents, and you're gonna make this about me being too loud while we're laughing over a movie? Are you fucking for real? And this is what corruption does. It excuses this behavior. These are our family members. These are our people. This is our mothers and fathers. What are we fucking doing? So, like, are you on board or are you not? And so that's my frustration right now. I'm a little frustrated, sorry, but
It's okay.
I'm so at this point that if we don't get on board, we're going to lose the last of our rights because we gave them away out of false fear. And that's
I
it.
agree. I agree.
That's where I'm at.
There's a question in a chat from Angel, and she wants to know, how is your life at this moment in a day-to-day basis? Do you have much contact and support in the outside world?
None. None, and only to the groups. And to be honest with you, I was joining the Glorious and Free group, which is run by a, a, a constable, which is really uncomfortable. But I had spoken to him privately before I went into the group and said, "This, I'm a TI. Can I bring this up because this is where my expertise lies?" And he's like, "Absolutely, but don't make it about being a TI, you know." And so I had said to them last week, shortly after we did the last interview, and I said, you know, I'm running out of data. My phone bill's way too high. I'm probably going to lose my only connection to the outside world. So I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for supporting me and being there. And I'm going to try to continue, but we'll see where it goes because I didn't know if I'll speak to them again. I don't know if I'll be able to stay in those because that's what's keeping me safe because they know that there's outside influences watching me right now. This is keeping me safe, you know. But once the light goes up, if they starved me and took me off property illegally, kept me on property illegally, and tried to financially ruin me while I was here, what are they going to do when no one's looking? This is what terrifies me. This is what scares me is because, and it's not about me. Like I've already chosen that I'll die for this cause. But the point is like I've got grounds now in standings that will make a difference for all TIs. So it's like, I need you on board. I can't do this alone. I can stand in a courtroom alone with my grade 9 education. I've got a 3 for 3 average. I've never lost a case, but I need support to get to that point. And just because they drain you in every way, every avenue, every media outlet, every social worker, every doctor you talk to, they prevent you from getting to where you need to be to continue it. So that's where I'm kind of at right now.
That's why it's so important that we are raising the funds, the campaign for your phone, because the phone is your outside world. It's all you have, really, plus your pictures, videos of your case are on that phone. And it's
Oh
why
yeah,
it's
all my
important.
details. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the phone's very important to have. You already explained how you're telling people how you are Canadian. You have said why your taxes are being withheld. So if you had taxes, the issue would not be where we're at, right? So the thing
Right.
is, they're being withheld and you cannot get the money for your phone. And again, your phone is an outside world for you that includes your pictures, your videos, it's your case
My
for
data. Yeah, yeah,
data.
right. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
record everything. Like I just had a recording of a staff member, and I got her to agree to it, even though I'm illegally allowed to record them because I'm being put in danger and being compromised. But I actually had an open conversation, a 3-minute conversation with the staff member talking about the thefts alone, which is illegal. That because it was in staff rooms and stuff, and it was always directed around people that knew me or that I associated with. And so it's like daily I have to deal with shit. Like, you know, and I know, and I'd spoken to Artist Targeted, a good friend of mine from here in Saskatoon, and a few people that I know. Like, there's times where I eat and I break out in like these weird marks on my face, or I'll eat and I'll sleep for 2 days. So like I'm not safe here. But as long as I'm connected to the outside world, they know that I think the biggest thing is because I challenge the powers that be. Like when the police showed up, when the social worker called them on me, I challenged them. I'm like, I know what you are, and you know what I am, but I will get through all of you to get to where I need to be because what's happening is wrong. And they were doing like that, when they were walking past, but they couldn't do anything because they knew I was standing on something that was real. And like all the events, all the recordings, all the contacts that I made, all the emails to different regional directors, to umbrella corporations that deal with residentials, that I was in the standing, that I was in the right, so they couldn't touch me. But the minute that the lights go off, that changes. That's the problem.
Yeah, because we're trying to get you somewhere safer too. It's
Yeah.
also raising awareness of what's happening to
Yeah.
the elderly and these senior homes because they are being abused. And you see, you're doing one huge thing here, but also again, it's the awareness of what's happening to the seniors that no one's talking about
The
out there.
vulnerable, the most vulnerable. They're just death statistics at this point. Yet no one has COVID. None of the healthcare workers have COVID. Like it's so weird that they're being used as cannon fodder. And like that's the problem. Like it's like the lowest of the totem pole are being used as cannon fodder. We need to change the narrative here. And people are waking up, but they don't see, and see, people always underestimate me, and that's why I always win, because it's like, you fucking underestimated me. But at this point, because there's so many organizations and so many city servants and government services that are being influential into not allowing me to maintain my status, or to get any sort of directive help. But it's been really difficult. But I've got a case, and it's like, if I don't get help with this, then I'm going to lose this case, and my life means nothing in the large scheme of things. I fought my fight. I've stood my ground. I've told my story, but it's like, we need to either come together, or take a seat and watch everything fall apart. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, we're on this team as a family trying to help one another. It's important that, your issues are being told, they're being heard, and someone's got to stand up for this, which you are doing. And,
Right.
one person, it's, they always say, well, one person can change things. Well, yeah, they can start doing this, but we need more support than one person. The one person can get it going on the ball, but we need more help than just one person, because the more help you have, it's a bigger chain than an
Yeah,
army of good.
can I just say, right over, I want to clarify something. Most targets are gifted beyond belief. I've worked as an intuitive my whole life. I'm a medical intuitive. I speak with animals. I've worked with ambassadors from different countries. I've worked on missing persons cases. We are the gifted. We are not the cancer. We're the cure. And if we don't start getting that that recognition, which we so desperately need right now, like that's the thing, is that we are the ones that can bring this change. But we need the support. We need from community. We need from government, and we need the adults to come and stand now. We need the adults to be adults, and people to start taking charge of our country, of our planet, because it's completely being destroyed by selfishness and ego, and all these things that, like beauty and youth and money and social status and cars and things, and not one of those fucking things do you take with you when you go. So where the fuck are you when this happens? you know so like we need to either get things in the right order, or we need to step back and just watch things fall apart. That's where sort of I'm at this point.
Yeah, I want to say amen, because
Mm.
people are not saying enough. Like, you're
Right.
preaching it, because the thing is, it's truth. And the more we say truth, the haters hate this. The government hates this. The media hates this. They want to stop us, and they think by calling us crazy or we're psycho that we're gonna shut our mouth. I've been here on YouTube for 3 damn years. I've been harassed. I've been stalked. My kids have been, harassed and stalked. Even my kids. I'm still here
Right.
saying the same message, that we need more people to stand the hell up and be a link. Arm to arm, a link. You're
Yep.
fighting against the evil.
Right.
Why fight? We're not fighting one another. We're fighting against the evil. But there's so many distractions now. Like you said, the greed, there's the power, there's the money, there's the beauty. All of this does not matter.
Well, you don't take it with you. And the funny thing is this is the point that I brought with the Glorious and Free group. Is it's like they were running into walls because they do these protests at Parliament, and then no one would show up. Well, because of the quarantine, and there's this fear base, and da 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 da. And I was like, the simple solution. I'm like, have a festival. Don't make it about like what you shouldn't do. Make it about like, this is what you're missing. And they did, and I'm like, do face painting, do make it about the kids, do fire dancing, do all this stuff. And they're like, oh my God, you think I got an ounce of credit for that? I didn't, but it doesn't matter. But it's like, once we see that it's not about like the crucifixion, it's not about like, if you don't do this, this is the consequence. It's a reward system. This is what you're missing. You're missing about connection and soul. You know, like I'm a raver. I was like what you call a club kid back in my 20s.
A
This is what it's
kitty
really
kid,
about.
yeah, I was too. I was
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like clubs used to pay me to go in and dance and like look pretty, but it was about like the connection. It was about the vibration, the frequency. Now it's about the drug. Now it's about the high. Now it's about who you know. Now it's everything is shifting, and so like the thinkers and the doers need to pull back and start making it about. It is about the connection of all of us. An ocean doesn't happen because of one person. It's individual droplets that creates an ocean, you know, and that's what we are.
Exactly.
And as long as we start, you know, we keep segregating each other from us versus them, we're not going to see that we're all attached. You're hungry, my stomach hurts. You're being abused, I bruise. That's the gist of it. And until we see that, these souls won't evolve. And you know what? If I'm a TI until I die, great. Then, but the next life, you're going to be left back in kindergarten, and I'm moving on to the next evolution of what we are. Sorry, that's the way it is. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's how it's going to be. Where if somebody does not say something enough about this, it won't change. And I've always said the one goal was if you want to be heard, you must make some noise. That's the only
Black.
way to get
Yeah.
this change. You know,
Right.
you want to get the cages rattled because when you're a quiet little mouse, it doesn't get
It,
done. You have to have the cages rattled like
don't
a
get
hurricane.
Yeah, but don't get it wrong though. I've met some quiet warriors. I've met some powerful people that were very still. But when they make a wave, you better understand that it's a tsunami. It's a shift on every level. And that's what this equates to, that we're changing on an intellectual, a spiritual, and a mental level, because materialism, drug addiction, anger, hatred, all of that is a low frequency. And so like if someone like me that can go through what I've gone through and can still be joyful and walking down the hallways and be like, "How are you, sweetie?" and hearing "you goof, you fucking rat," and like people putting shit in my food and all that. If I can go through this and still keep a high frequency, anyone in society can. It's a choice not to. Is my point.
I agree because you're going through all these things, and in the end, we want to be worth something because it's got to be at some point. You're fighting for a cause, and again, the cages will get rattled because the more you rattle the cage, the more noise you make, it's going to get heard. And
Right.
it's like either you're going to help us or get out of our way. I'm not going to
Oh,
stop.
I said that to one of the young guys that works here, and he got the job because he's pretty. But anyway, I said to him, I said, like, because it freaks people out the fact that I was drawing pictures and then all of a sudden the events that would occur afterwards. And I said to him, I didn't cause these things to happen. But like, if these people can't respect me, then fear me. Fear me. Like, understand that I'm different than
Right.
you. Understand that I'm more evolved than you. And if you can't understand that I'm connected to everything in this universe in a way that you'll never understand because you're so attached to your money and your things and your stuff and playing with your inky, then get the fuck out of my way because there's a job to do. And that's what we need. We need the adults and the protectors. We need our protectors to take care of our healers because our healers are hurting. We're broken. We've been completely, utterly sabotaged in every way. We need our warriors to step in and go, this is not acceptable. And a lot of police officers and different groups of city services like firemen and departments are doing it, but they're now being targeted. That's the cost of this. So the more voices we get, the more it becomes a normal rather than the obscure. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it is true though. 'Cause see, there's certain people wake up. It's like I call it the truth Kool-Aid, not the bad Kool-Aid. The truth Kool-Aid is that more and more people are waking up and seeing, oh, that's what's going on. And the more you do, again, you're gonna
Mhm.
have haters. but because they're doing the right thing. And I believe in the end, we can change things, but when some just want to sit around and do nothing, then what's the cause? Like what's the point? We're trying to, sometimes we put our life on the line because we can die from this. And the fact is, was it worth it? I say yes, because you've heard me, I've heard you. I have helped Angel, she's helped me, Jennifer, and there's Will, and there's Devin, and Rihanna, and there's Penny. It goes on and on and on. It's a domino effect of the good effect. See, we know we got a good team here. It's just we want to build up and get more support.
So what I'm saying right now is if you guys want this world to change as it is, anyone listening to this, anyone hearing my voice through shares or comments or whatever, then you need to back us up, because we're the ones taking the full fucking brunt of this, and it's happening now. So it's like either piss or get off the pot, but this is what's happening, and we need you, because we're the ones that are sort of taking on the forefront of this, and it's scary as hell, but it's so necessary. And it's funny because the lady that I was protecting with the whole the thievery, the thefts and all that stuff, she always says she's funny. She's gay, but she's so smart for someone with dementia. She goes, "I love you, but I'm gay." And so like I'll play around. So when I do something nice for her, she goes, "I love you, but I'm gay." And last night I left her room and I brought her something, and I was just making sure she was okay. And even with all the complaints about, we're making too much noise. And I said, she goes, "I love you." And I went to close the door and I was waiting for her to say, "But I'm gay," for her to sort of like, slide it as not a big thing. And she just left it at, "I love you." And that's what this is about. That to me is more important than my own breath, my own life, because she's lost here. It's important. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it is. Like I said, people are realizing why we're doing this, and that's why I had offered my channel, because I want people to be able to come forward and not be scared to say, okay, I need help, we need support, because, this kind of thing is not being selfish, it's being selfless. When you're selfless, right, your heart's out there also on the line, because you get mocked, you get abused, you get even stalked because you got truth.
Right. So that's kind of where this is at. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'll leave it at that. I thank everyone for sort of supporting me and helping me out with this. And I have to go back into my world and try to treat this the best that I can. But if we don't do this now, then there is no later. There is no choice later. There are regulations and measures being put into place that are violating our human and charter of rights and all that sort of stuff. So I could use your help, but don't do it for me. Do it for us. And so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and we put the I have the GoFundMe in the chat. Perfect. And again, we're asking for help, for donations for Robert. If you're not able to help Robert financially, then fine, pass it on to family, friends, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, whatever. We want it out there to have your phone. You gotta have that, period,
Yeah. All the documents, all the different things. Absolutely.
And I'm proud of you. Okay, so I'm proud of you. You've been through hell, and it's a price we pay. Because
but it's worth every second of it.
Yeah, and it is. In the end, we have that race that we're running, and that race is going to be worth everything. It's going to be hard, and it's very difficult. It's very painful. But again, we are trying to, change things for a good reason. We want things to change and laws to change. So, help Robert, help me, help other people that need this, because again, if one person can get the ball rolling, but we need, again, that wave, not a ripple. We need a wave coming in here because we are going to lose people through the system, through the cracks, whatever, and we don't want this. So, again, we're
You're the
here to just
cure.
say, hey, we need help.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
Well, any final thoughts you have, or you want to, anything else you want
No,
to say?
actually, I shouldn't have went with the curly hair. But other than that, like I'm saddened and I'm empowered at the same time. But if we don't make a difference now, then there won't be a later. So let's let's kind of join hands in this. But in the least, go and hug someone, go and love someone, because what we all want, if we're a perp or if we're a victim or if we're black or white or gay or straight, do you acknowledge me? Do you see me? Do you see what I do? Like a little kid bringing their artwork to their parent, you know? No, no, honey, I'm busy. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Or is it like, oh, I see how precious you are. And if we don't see the preciousness and the uniqueness as something beautiful, then we've lost the point of being here. And then we're all just mindless zombies anyway. That's
No,
it.
I agree. I agree. We all need to have love and support one another. Life is too short on the earth. It really is. So
Right.
people should not regret, just the biggest thing here is to have love. We want to spread love and not slander, to spread love, not hate, and support one another. And again, like you said, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, what race you are, you're Buddhist, atheist, Christian. We're not about that. We're about one family and about supporting one another.
Right.
So, um, again, I thank you for being on here again and with your story and getting out there the truth.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert, for being here. Okay, so I think that Angel wanted to say something. Did you want to make any remarks about Robert's story? If you do, come on up, Angel. Yeah, I want to thank Robert again for being here and being brave to tell a story and tell us truth. And he's a great person trying to change things. And I'm very proud of Robert. Yes, I think that he pretty much did. I think that he really did, hammer on the nail because, you know, again, one person can get this started and a small ripple can cause some things. We want a tidal wave. We want enough people to stop with the label that we're crazy or we're psycho or we're stupid. Because we have truth, we've had pain, we've had torture, we know what's going on. We are awake. We are not the lazy. We are not the asleep. We are not just dumb sheep. We are the awakened. Once you go through pain and torture, I believe you see the evil. You are awakened very fast. But yeah, you heard it here from his own mouth that they will call us crazy. The government, the media, whoever it is, they do not want us out here telling the truth. They'll try everything and anything to shut us down. We have to stop this. We must stop the fighting, the bickering, and picking sides. We should not pick sides. We should be one unit, to be united and not divided. With the power and with the greed and the money, the beauty, again, when you die, like he said, this does not go with you. He said, if this does kill him one day, he knows he stood for something. He knows he made a change in this world. And I have to say the same thing for me. I know I have changed some things. I know I have helped people. I know that I want to continue to help people. I know people have helped me. Also, I know that certain people have been here for my own children. And that's why we're here and we do what we do, because we want to make a change. Life here can be too short. We're not promised tomorrow. So what will you do with your time? Your story and your pain can help others. It can help other people. His abuse, my abuse, other people's stories can help others. If one person hears Robert's story, or my story, or Angel, or Devin, or Yana, or Jennifer, or Will, if one person can hear someone's story, that is what will happen with the wave. That wave will happen. It will trickle and trickle and trickle. And eventually, that wave is coming. You cannot stop the truth. You cannot hide the truth. You cannot censor us. We are here to help others through their pain. We are here to help others through their issues. We all have a story. We don't want people to feel like they're alone in this, to feel like they're in chains, because you're not alone. We need more people to stand up to the system. Like he said, if we don't fight now, then what's going to happen to our children, our grandchildren? Laws should not get changed when someone is murdered or assaulted. Things should be already in place. It should not get to this point. People get scared, like he said, because why? The fear. The fear takes over you. People fear what they don't understand. But we are here to make people understand what is going on. What is a TI? Okay, what are we going through? If you want change, if you want to be heard, you must make some noise. Come forward and tell us your story. The only way to make change is to come together. I want to thank my supporters, my friends, and my family, my TI family, my family of CSA survivors. Thank you so much for coming forward, again, supporting me and my channel, being in the chat, or just watching the video. If one person can be changed or want to come forward, that is why we're here. That's why we put time in this. It's why we want to help others. I encourage people to come forward. Again, thank you all for supporting others. And like Robert said, hug one another and show love. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Be the change that you want in this world. Again, be the change that you want in this world. If you want to be heard, you must make some noise. Again, Robert, thank you so much for being here as my guest. And I want to thank Angel for being in chat and Jennifer. And again, guys, keep going forward. Don't ever quit. Don't give up. I promise in the end, it's all worth it. Keep fighting. Not for 1 minute. Do not back down. Do not stop running your race. You keep going forward. You can change things. You can make a difference in someone's life. What will you do with the time you have on this earth? I, for one, want to inspire people, and I want to help them and change things. I love you all very much, and God bless. Have a great night. Until next time, keep going forward. Never give up. Never, never, never give up.